It is springtime and our grass is just coming out of hibernation. Now is the time to start thinking about how we want to fertilize this year. Like most things in life, our first step is to put a plan together, decide what am I trying to accomplish. Do I have bare spots in my grass that I want to take care of? You can see I put in a in-ground irrigation system last year and I still have remnants of trenching that I'm going to need to seed or get the grass to fill in to make things how I want them to be. Now, before we get into what fertilizer to apply, we have to talk about when. So in the springtime, we want to wait for that grass to green up first. If we go too early, the grass is not out of its dormancy and it's not ready to use that fertilizer right away. And if you get a lot of rain, it'll just wash that fertilizer away before the grass is ready to take it up in its roots, so it'll be just wasted. So step one, wait. I want to do it, I want to get it going, but you can see I still have a lot of dormant grass here. I need to wait at least another week before I put that first application of fertilizer on to make sure the grass is ready to take it up right away and it doesn't get washed away before it's ready. Now, if you're happy with the overall look of your lawn, you can go ahead and just use a 4-step program by Scots or one of the other major manufacturers. And that is a good way to maintain your lawn and keep it looking good. Here is the Scots 4-step program. You start in early spring with a turf builder and crabgrass preventer. Then in early summer, you do a turf builder with weed and feed. Then late summer, a turf builder with summer guard, mid to late summer. And then you follow that up in fall with a winterizer type turf builder. Again, this is a good program to maintain your lawn and keep it looking good. But we're going to go over some reasons why you may not want to do this. Now, if you've got bare patches like I've got from trenching, or just years of kind of a little bit of neglect, or you're new to your place and you really want to make a big difference this year, going on one of those standard 4-step fertilizing plans is not going to be enough. You're going to have to do something different. Getting these patches of grass to fill in is either we're going to have to hit this with a lot of nitrogen, and if we have a grass species that spreads, that will spur it to spread and fill in those spots quickly. The other option is overseeding, and before you decide what is right for you, you need to know what grass species you have. So if you're in a warm weather climate, your Bermuda, zoysia, centipede grass, most of that is very good at spreading and filling in bare spots. So you guys are lucky. If you're in the northern or colder climate, cool season grasses, we've got a lot of different species, but not all of them will fill in. Kentucky bluegrass is the most popular one that will actually spread and fill in those bare spots. There's also a creeping fescue, but that does it much slower. It will still do it. The problem is most of our lawns are a mix of Kentucky bluegrass, some ryegrass, and fescues. And unless you have a lot of Kentucky bluegrass, you're not going to have much luck with the grass that's existing filling in those bare spots. So that leads us into needing to overseed. Now, step one, you need to understand what's in your lawn. So let's get a sample of mine and see what we've got. The more you start looking at this, the more you can walk around your lawn and find out what species are in there. I've got one piece of Kentucky bluegrass in what I picked out. It's a generally a little bit wider blade of grass with a ridge running down it. You can see that. The vast majority of what I have here is a very fine bladed grass, and that's a fine fescue. So what does that tell me? In that area of my lawn, I do not have a lot of Kentucky bluegrass. It's relatively shaded, and that fine fescue is a little bit better. That a thin bladed grass species is normally better in the shade. So that did better and kind of took over that area. So I'm going to need to overseed to fill in these bare spots. And why is that important? If you're going to overseed, you want to fill in bare spots, do not use Crabgrass Preventer in the spring. Crabgrass Preventer prevents crabgrass by using a chemical that prevents seeds from germinating. And it doesn't know the difference between a crabgrass seed and a Kentucky bluegrass seed or a ryegrass seed. So it'll prevent everything from germinating in your lawn. So if you put down Crabgrass Preventer and then you overseed with a perennial ryegrass, you will get no germination and you wonder why your overseeding didn't work. That's why. So you need to stick with a plain fertilizer if you're going to do overseeding. Now, if you do have Kentucky bluegrass or something that was going to spread and you want to hit it with nitrogen, I recommend spoon feeding. And spoon feeding is simply a process where you frequently add little doses of fertilizer instead of doing one big application. So the rule of thumb for the spoon feeding would be 1/4 to 1/2 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet of your grass every week. So now if you have an irrigation system, that's quite easy. Put that on once a week and then water after and get it in there, and the grass will suck it up and be happy and grow like crazy. If you don't, I recommend using those spring rain showers and trying to time it to put it on right before a rain shower and try to space them out once a week. Obviously, it's a little bit harder because you got to deal with the weather. Once the spring season is over and it's starting to get a bit warmer and the rain showers aren't as frequent, you need to taper back your fertilizing and probably go to a normal 4-step problem. You've got the springtime when temperatures are cool and you've got an abundance of water to give that plant a lot of fertilizer because it has plenty of the other resources it needs to grow. And if you really hit it with nitrogen, it has plenty of water, it's going to really grow for you and take your lawn to the next level. Once the water becomes more of if you don't have irrigation and now you're at a water deficit, that extra nitrogen will do actually damage to your plant. So you're going to want to start dialing that back once you start noticing your grass drying out and you're not getting as many rain showers. I hope this helped you out a little bit. If you want to take to your lawn somewhere it has not been before, you're going to have to do something that you have not done before. And the spoon feeding is a great way to do that. If you combine that with an overseed and then spoon feed, I think you're going to have a lot of luck. And the springtime is to take advantage of that excess of those resources the grass wants and needs to really grow. Now, if you decide to go with an overseed, there is a specialty product that's becoming a bit more available that you can use to keep the crabgrass at bay. And it is available in the Scots product here in a spreadable. Otherwise, it's known as Tenacity, and that's available in a liquid form, and you have to spray apply that. But Scots is now putting that in one of their starter fertilizers. Now, why isn't this the normal Crabgrass Preventer? It doesn't last as long as the other ones. It doesn't last 3 months. It's about 6 weeks, and then it really starts wearing off. The cool part of it is it does differentiate between the crabgrass and the weed seeds and your grass seed. So it allows your grass seed to germinate, but stifle the germination of weed seeds to really help your grass take hold, keep the weeds at bay until that grass is mature enough and thick enough so to kind of crowd out the weeds. I personally am having trouble locating that Scots starter fertilizer with the Tenacity product in it. But But if you guys see it, give me a shout out. Let me know in the comments. I think that stuff is a game changer, makes life a lot easier instead of having to spray it on with the liquid tenacity product. Having it right in the starter fertilizer is an awesome addition to the Scots lineup. Things have begun to finally warm up here. You can see the grass is greening up. So I'm going to throw on some fertilizer today. In a previous video, I overseeded some of my renovation areas from last year that are still patchy. I need to get more grass germinated in there to fill it in nicely. So ideally, I would put on that Scots triple action for seeding with that selective pre-emergent that allows grass seed to germinate, but not weed seeds. Unfortunately, I can't find it. It's the first year of them making it, so it's a little availabilities, along with all the supply chain issues, particularly around fertilizer in Ukraine and all that garbage is making things difficult. So I went with a general purpose fertilizer at 10-10-10. So normally lawn fertilizers do not have any phosphate, zero. So there's some environmental reasons for that. You don't want this to run off into waterways and that it causes algae blooms. But with newly germinated seed, that's important for root development, so I need that. So you can get that general purpose fertilizer. What might throw some people off here is this does not say lawn fertilizer. Well, it doesn't really matter. Even on back, it does give us a spreader setting that we can use. But no matter what fertilizer you use, you always want to put it on based on nitrogen level. A good rule of thumb is to put on a 1/4 pound to a 1/2 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet of your lawn. Now, this is very easy to figure out if we remember the first number in our fertilizer is the nitrogen level. In this case, it's 10. So that means this by weight is 10% nitrogen. So my renovation areas, I've got about 2,000 square feet. I want to go on the top end of that nitrogen. I want to put a 1/2 pound of nitrogen on per 1,000 square feet. So I have 2,000 square feet. That means I need 1 pound total. And this is 10%. So I need 10 pounds of this fertilizer to spread on my renovated areas. Very simple. That way, no matter what fertilizer you have available, you can grab it, you can use it. And remember, always put it on based on the nitrogen level, then you will not have any problems burning. So this is 25 pounds. So I need about half of this bag in my spreader. Then I'm ready to get going. Now, because these new seeding areas need a lot of help to fill in, you can see there's a lot of bare spots. I'm going to spoon feed it, so that means I did this first application, 1/2 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. Now, every week for probably the month of May, while it's still cool and resources are plentiful, I'm going to give it a 1/4 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. So I'm going to hit it on the high end for the first one, then I'm going to drop back at the low end of the rate and constantly keep feeding it. And that's the reason I went with bluegrass here, this 100% bluegrass. So giving it the excess of resources here in the conditions, the temperature conditions it likes, it will hopefully spread quickly and fill in the bare spots. I also have other parts of the lawn where I plan on killing off rather soon with Roundup to convert it to 100% bluegrass. So in those areas, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do any weed control. I'm not going to do any nitrogen. Just let it be. After I seed it, hopefully I can get my hands on that Scots triple action for seeding that has that pre-emergent, but yet allows the grass seed to germinate. So that's my plan on those. Other areas that I'm not going to plan on doing any overseeding or changing, that I just want to feed. I'm going to use fertilizer with the Crabgrass Preventer. Remember to keep this away from areas that you want your grass seed to germinate, because the chemical in these standard crabgrass preventers will prevent germination of pretty much all seeds, including your grass seed. So you could overseed with, and this lasts up to 3 months. So this is a pretty long lasting piece. If you plan on doing any seeding on your lawn or in the areas, do not put this on it, because you'll spend all that money and time and putting seed down. And you'll wonder why none of it grows. It's because you put this down. So with this crabgrass preventer, I'm going to put it on exactly at the rate that it shows on the bag. So you could do this in nitrogen, figure out your nitrogen application rate. The problem is that chemical in here that prevents the germination of the crabgrass seed needs to be put on at a specific rate to work properly. So if you're doing crabgrass preventer, put it on the rate at which the bag says for best success. Then after that, you can just get a fertilizer on its own if you want to do spoon feeding, and you've got a creeping grass species that will fill in the bare spots and you want to hit it with more and more nitrogen. You can do that, but your first application of crabgrass preventer, make sure you put it on at the prescribed rate on the bag. Remember to try to time your fertilizing with a rainfall, otherwise water it in soon after within a couple days with a sprinkler system. For those of you who do not have an in-ground sprinkler system and are on the fence about it, just do it. I detailed in my master plan series last year the complete installation of this in-ground system. I did it 100% myself. I walk you through it step by step. You can do it or just pay somebody to do it. It is awesome. It frees you up to fertilize and seed on your schedule, independent of rain. Now, you still need to be careful of temperature and sunshine and all that stuff, but this is pretty sweet. Just fertilized. Don't need to time it with rain showers. Just turn on the sprinkler system. Pretty sweet. Now, fertilizing can be a little bit confusing. Application rate, when to do it, things like that. I hope I clarified some of that for you. Good luck this lawn care season. You can see my lawn is still waking up. I've got trenching from last year, putting the sprinkler system in. So this is particularly good challenge for me this year. Hopefully I can whip this thing back up into shape and get it looking back like it did before I tore it all up. And with peak weather conditions, it was pretty sweet. But we'll get back there. Just takes a little work. Thanks for watching. Adios.